I'd appreciate it. You know what that means. And there's a bear running straight at me.
Have you ever been charged by a bear? Well, I have, and I'll tell you that true story a bit later in the video. Oh, and we have some homemade beams and posts to install on the new cabin foundation. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe so you never miss what's coming next.
Hey, nice to see you. Welcome to Life on the Moose. Let's set up some posts and beams today for this cabin. It's going to be a hot one, but we'll get through it. We got through the last hot episode. Hopefully I can wrap this one up a little bit earlier in the day. It's just a little bit after 7 o'clock in the morning right now. Let me show you what we have so far. All right, we have 3 posts ready to go. 3 post brackets ready to go, I should say, mounted in the concrete with rebar. We have 3 on this side as well. And we're going to take a beam, set them directly on this one and that one and this one. In essence, this is going to be built like a beefed up deck. So as you can see, I was able to get the truck up here. So the new road was a success in that regard. I don't think I want to do it in the wintertime, because if I end up sliding, I would lose control very quickly. This road isn't wide and there's not much room for error. So I'm not going to do that in the wintertime. But I'm loaded up with beams. Those beams just didn't happen. I had to make the beams. Here, I'll show you what I did. So the beams that I need for a 16-foot long building, and I'm going to put a support post in the middle, requires them to be a 4x8. I don't have a 4x8, and I don't really have a lot of extra material to make beams out of 2x material, but I do have a 4x6, and I have 4x4s. I'm just going to make 2 beams out of all this stuff. I had these laying around. You know what that means? Usually when these things are found in the middle aisle at Home Depot for 70% off, it's because they're ugly. Not because they don't work anymore, not because they can't carry the load, typically not because. These, yes, a little deflected. I'm going to glue them together, and then I'm going to use these 6-inch timber screws and hold it all nice and tight. And actually this will net out about 8 3/4, whereas a 4x8 nets out about 7 1/4. I'm very confident this will be more than enough. Okay, so I'm going to take these beams and I'm going to set them in these brackets and just see where we are. But before I do that, this little lip right here, I'm going to take this tube off. I did quite a bit of research as far as the cardboard. Should you take it off? Should you not? You know, there's no rule of thumb that I could determine. A lot of people said it's a waste of time. It'll just rot, become part of the ground eventually, so it isn't going to matter. So I'm just going to take as much of this form off as I need to, so that the beam can sit level. don't know if you can see this, but this cardboard tube is manufactured in a spiral fashion. So I just found where it basically ended right here, and I took it off all the way around. Usually you can follow that spiral and it'll separate right there fairly easily. Okay, these beams are heavy. If you would have grabbed one end of this, I'd appreciate it. All right, I'll get it. Okay, we're done. Thank you. We'll see you next week. All right, we'll finish it up. Here's what we have so far. Very close, but not quite level. So I'll put these shims under there. So I'm just gonna drive these in. Okay, that's perfect. So I put a rock on that end just to hold it down because that is so close in the middle, just wants to teeter-totter. And then of course this isn't close. This is why we have to build a post. So I'm gonna dry fit both of these first before I fasten them down, just to make sure we're all in line. Oh, this is an extra. I'll get to this a little bit later in the episode. Okay, we are dry fit. Now what I'm going to do is measure the diagonals, make sure that we are completely square, because our first joist is going to go right on the end, so we'll have really no more room to adjust from that point. I'm just going to go make sure that's square right now. And then I think I'm going to have to shim up that one, maybe 1/8 of an inch, just to make sure it's completely level. Okay, I think I have it all squared up and leveled up. So this is our starting corner. We leveled that beam up already. And this beam should be level. So let's double check on this one. Okay, that looks great. So that beam's level. That beam is level. So now let's make sure we're level in between the beams. Look at that. So I'm gonna tack these down. I'm not gonna bolt them quite yet. Just I wanna make sure we don't have any movement. So I'm gonna put 1 or 2 nails, joist hanger nails, and get these beams buttoned down on these 4 posts. Looks like a cabin. What a day.
Miles and miles in the clear blue skies. We drive straight as the narrow flies. Nowhere to be, no dreams to chase tonight. We've got time to waste, let's waste it right.
Okay, now I just have to measure a couple of posts, fit in the saddle, tuck up under there nice and tight, and we'll be good to go. Okay, brackets are on. This beam is nailed down. Got all of my brackets nailed tight. So it's all ready to go. It's level. So what I'm going to do now is actually bolt it down. You see the brackets with the bolt holes. So I'm going to run 1/2-inch bolts through these 4 right here, these first 4. And that'll be very solid. It's already very solid. I'm very happy with it. Okay, but I'm running out of energy here. It's 11:55. I need to get something to eat. So I'm gonna go park it in the shade, get a bite to eat. Yeah, take 5 or 10, maybe even 15. Don't tell anybody if I take 20. And if I happen to take a nap, okay, I'm energized and ready to go. I actually closed my eyes for just a second and thought I heard a bear. Wasn't sure. Sometimes bear make this kind of a grunt, a moan. When they eat, when they walk sometimes, they just kind of go, yeah, and they just do. I've heard it several times. So I thought I heard that while I was napping. And I woke up, I looked around, and I didn't see anything. There are bear in this area for sure. I've seen several around here. But it reminded me of a story when I was turkey hunting about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe more than that. Once COVID hit, that's it. My measurement of time just ceased at that point. But anyway, so I was turkey hunting. It's in April, and it's one of those spring mornings where it starts out cold, then the sun comes out. It might be only 45 degrees, but when the sun comes out at that time of year, you feel like it's warm. So what did I do? I took a nap. I was actually laying down in an impression in the ground left over from like a root ball from a tree falling over. So I was laying in there, and with my head just sticking above so I could see the meadow in front of me. And so I'm laying there with my eyes closed. What do I hear? Thump, thump, thump. First I thought, well, that's nothing. You know, a lot of things make that hollow thumping sound in the woods. Thump, 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 thump. Kept getting louder and louder. I opened my eyes, lifted my head, and there's a bear running straight at me. Not kidding. When I first saw it, it might have been 20 feet away. I instantly got to my feet, got my gun. I don't know how I got up so fast. It was like I practiced it all my life. Got to my feet in about 1 second. The bear stopped at 12 feet away from me. Wasn't a big one. I would guess a 2-year-old bear, but it skidded. When it saw how big I was, it skidded. I was freaked out. It was freaked out. It turned around. It took me a while to gather my wits about me, because I don't know how many of you have witnessed a charging bear, but it's no fun. Even when the bear is making a mistake, it's still no fun. Okay, I'm gonna get going. Drill some holes, put some bolts through these brackets. Get this thing buttoned up once and for all. These nuts should never have to go anywhere. So what I'm gonna do, instead of double nut it and lock it, I'm just gonna mar up these threads. And don't worry, this is not my good chisel. Yeah, don't ever do this with a good chisel, because you will mess up the blade. All right, I think that did it just fine. And if you wanted to muscle through that, I'm sure you could take a wrench to that and get over the ruined thread I just did. But that'll prevent it from backing out naturally. Okay, final step in this foundation. Let me show you what's going on here. I'm gonna put that beam on the pier blocks, and it's gonna go right in the middle of the cabin. That is meant to basically prevent any future deflection of the joists. There is a highly technical word for this in the construction industry, and it's called overkill. Seriously. Technically, I don't need it. Everything is to specs. The beams are actually larger than specs. The joists right on 2x8s, 11 foot roughly span. So that's okay. Everything is good to go. But I had that beam sitting in the barn for, I don't know, 10 years. So I spent maybe $30 or whatever it was on 2 pier blocks and a couple brackets. So I'm just going to set this right in the middle of the cabin. It's 12 feet long, cabin's 16 feet, but that'll support everything underneath. So it's gonna be way more than necessary. I'd rather do it more than necessary because it's important to me to make this thing solid, strong, last for a long time. all those good things. So I'm going to level this up, and this will be the last step in this process. Okay, these brackets meant for a 4x4. This thing's a 6x6. So I'm going to plunge cut a slit so this bracket can go into the wood. It'll be good to go. Okay, center beam in place. So these are sitting on the adjustable pier brackets that are in the blocks. And I can get a wrench under there, and there's a nut. I can screw it, elevate that bracket. This is only meant for downward pressure. It'll only force against downward pressure, in other words. You could pull up on it all day long because those adjustable brackets, they just sit in a hole. That's it. Nothing is holding that bracket down. So that's not what it's meant for in this purpose anyway. So I'm happy with it. Whew. Oh, hi. I'm a mess. What's new, right? Okay, that wraps it up. The undercarriage of this thing is finished. I'm happy about it. Sturdy. It's in the ground. Everything's fastened. It's ready for joist. Like right now. I'm not. I'm out of water and energy. Maybe we'll do the joist next week. Or maybe we'll work on those trees, the dead trees. Maybe make that gate. Okay, well, shower time for this guy. Hey, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate that. Come back next week. We'll have some fun no matter what it is. And we'll do it again. All right, thanks again.